What a fucking clusterfuck that was.
Was it WCW's just rip off of the Rumble and we're like, yeah, we're just going to do it?
It's just almost like, yeah, you want to do a 30-man match? Well, we're going to have a 60-man match with 3 rings? Fuck off. And there's the fucking intro right there, isn't it? That's the intro right there. That's the intro.
It's a goddamn seed.
Yeah.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to this. It's another episode of Screwdriver with a Twist. See, I got it right. Hey, don't always get it right. This time we get it right. I'm Mark P and he's Dan Agar. And tonight, it's another episode of your favourite series. And tonight, Dan is in the hot seat with a question that I have no notes, no preparation, nothing about.
Surely you're in the hot seat then.
I'm in the hot seat because you're the question master. So I'm in the hot seat. Very good, well done. So first things first, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Your brother has done us a ridiculously brilliant intro thing. Did you like the little cartoon there? So believe it or not, one of the Agar brothers actually does have social media. So we'll put Sam's links in the description below. Please go and check him out. You've just seen he is ludicrously talented. And thank you so much, Sam, for doing that for us. Fucking hey, I couldn't ask for better than that. And while we're plugging brother stuff, I suppose I get asked like once a month at least, who does your intro music, Mark? And I've been using the same intro music for over a decade, and it's by my brother, Craig, aka Grace. So why not? We'll put the description for him down below. As I've just alluded to, Dan still, after all these months, doesn't have any social media, but I do. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I'm not. It says there the old Instagram and Facebook. But if you're listening to on Spotify, my Instagram is Mark R Pearson 101. My Facebook is Mark Pearson Wrestling Reviews, and these vids always go on there first, and they're getting earlier. They're now going up on Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays. It's also going live on Twitter on the Wednesday when it's due up online on Fridays, and hell, on YouTube they're going up on Thursdays because we're just like, I want people to see them now because we're just so excited about these. But just have them now, please, just take them. Anyway, as the shortest intro yet, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough hot dogging and grandstanding, isn't it? Just Dan, hit me with your own question.
Okay, so not so much a question, but more of a wondering. So I would like to know from your good self, what are some of your favourite and most despised gimmick matches in wrestling? Now,
do you mean gimmick matches like so we're talking stipulation matches here, aren't we?
Stipulation matches, yeah. Okay. So the ones for you that you look forward to, the ones that to you that when they happened made sense, and the ones that you just looked at and thought, why am I watching this?
Well, I mean, the first one that always pops into my head will be either a cage or a cell match. I like the way that, to me, a cage match is a feud ender. When the violence has just got to the point where the only way that these two men or two teams can be contained is the confines of a cage. But of course, because nowadays, and once again, not even 5 minutes into this video, we're going into I'm an old, bitter old fan. Now that we've got a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, for goodness sake, it doesn't really have that same gravity. I don't think, now that we have named pay-per-views, I don't think they have the same gravitas as they once did. When every year you know you're going to get 2 Elimination Chambers, every year you know you're going to get 2 Hell in a Cell, when every year you know you're going to get 2 TLC matches, they don't have that same I don't think any stipulation these days can have the same gravitas that it once did, where it became when Hell in a Cell was announced, you go, oh my fucking god, take my fucking monies, you know. I'm trying to think of. I've got a few that I can say as best, but it's worse because there's such a list of Punjabi prison matches where you just go, the fuck is that, man? Yeah, let's make this structure that's kind of like a Hell in a Cell, but because it's made of fucking bamboo and it's so thick that you can't see through it. For example, where you just go, God damn, man, who thought of that?
Yeah, and do you think gimmicks were one time relevant to the person or peoples in them? For example, Hell in a Cell became Undertaker's
match. Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
And it's been a while since there's been sort of a match that's you've gravitated towards as a fan because of the person who's in it, as opposed to it just happening because it's storyline or it's booking.
A great example would be obviously the Casket Match. There's only really one character where that really truly works, doesn't it? And I would be the Undertaker. I don't think a Casket Match would work with any other character at all, because as soon as you mention the Casket Match, you just think, well, you're just riffing off Taker then, obviously.
Yeah.
So what yourself? What springs to mind for you for best, for example?
The ones for best. I mean, if you look at the match quality that happened with the specific stipulations themselves. Obviously, you got to the first Hell in a Cell, Michael Taker of Bad Blood, which was great. That kind of set the tone for what we expect from Hell in a Cell matches, and then in many ways he did by.
Is it 5 stars? Is it 5 stars?
The first one, yeah, definitely, yeah.
It's an absolute.
I mean, that whole show is on my, on the network, you've got my list.
Yes.
Like, Bad Blood is on my list for that match. So if I want to go watch it anytime, I can just go click Bad Blood and then there it is.
I'm struggling to remember any of the other matches. I've got Bret Hart versus the Patriot in a flag match.
Yep.
And that's a tag match.
I don't remember the other matches.
But I'm struggling. I mean, I know we do the Get a Hobby, but I'm struggling for any of the other matches on the show.
But gimmicks that work. I mean, you go back to the ladder match and you look at the ones that come to mind are Michaels versus Razor,
of course,
and the tag match from No Mercy.
Yeah, definitely. They put both teams on the map, didn't they?
And then they kind of elevated that with the TLC stipulation.
Do you think they took it too far with the TLC? Because nowadays you have the TLC matches I just mentioned, which they can be all right. Every so often we get a decent one way, so it's never going to be the great matches that we remember, are they?
I don't think TLC would have worked if it had just been one team against another team. I think the fact that you had the third team in there means that you could add the extra depth to it.
Yeah.
You added the extra layer of the additional stipulation with it. I think that worked fine whilst keeping the ladder match format of having to climb a ladder and grab whatever. And then, of course, they elevated that to Money in the Bank later on. But in terms of ones that really worked and ones that didn't, I remember you and me had a conversation about Elimination Chamber becoming a pay-per-view and stuff, and we thought, well, the first Elimination Chamber, I don't know about you, but to me that was the best one, the very first one.
Oh yeah,
and I kind of think to myself, yeah. And our gimmick match is better when they're the first time that you watch them, in the sense of like Hell in a Cell will always be our favourite. The first Elimination Chamber always favourite. People still say that the first ladder match is the best one with Michael's Razor, even though I know that there's someone out there who's going to say, yeah, well, Jake the Snake was in one in 1970 or whatever it was, but
because that's what people do, don't they? They can't help themselves. I think you'll find Mick that he was actually in this day, this day. Cheers for that. I always used to love it. Always used to really fet me off. Sorry to interrupt. Always used to fet me off whenever I used to do a review. And I do a half-an-hour review, and I watched the show. And I made you loads of notes. I tried to make it funny or entertaining for you guys. And the one comment that I get over and over again is, "I think you'll find, Mark, that it was actually this and so this." No. I enjoyed the video, Mark, apart from this. Or, hey, Mark, I just wanted to say, I think you'll find, Mark, that it's fuck off. Cheers for that. Anyway, carry on. Just wanted to then just run there a little bit for a second.
You know what? I'll look some comments for him down there.
I now know that in a week's time, if I look at the comments, I'm like, yes. I left myself wide open for that, didn't I?
But just a couple of other points I wanted to make was matches like this. If you think back to the Survivor Series, now there was one time where we hung out and we did the Survivor Series drinking game.
Oh dear. Do you want to explain that or shall I?
I don't even remember the rules. If you've got it saved somewhere. I'm sure. Pop it on the screen.
It's on the screen right now. So this is from the very first Survivor Series. I don't know what possessed us to watch that show, but it brought up a graphic on the screen, and it brought this graphic on the screen. So it was one of those. Oh, now then, so we could do however many shots per thing, and it's one of those. This is a way to get really trashed, isn't it? Because if someone think about it, if it's 5-on-5, you know you're going to get at least 5 eliminations. There's 5 shots. It's one of those. This is going to be messy, and I don't think we've done it since, have we?
No, we did the Rumble one.
We've got quite a few Rumble ones. The Rumble one is where you've got to pick a Royal Rumble at random, and it's got to be at random because of the way you could cheat to do this, and so put them into like a spinner, like we talk about, like the wheel of names and that. Royal Rumble comes out, and basically you've got to guess who comes out next, and if you get it wrong, you take a shot. And it's brutal. It is brutal. Think about it, essentially 30 shots. But it's when you get 3 right in a row and the other person doesn't. You're like, yes.
It's also like when you get it right. Yeah, when someone gets eliminated, when you get a returning person, or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they were messy times. But Rumble again, great gimmick, it stood the test of time. Back to the Survivor Series one, you could have a whole show where you could watch 5 or 6 Survivor Series style matches, and it wasn't overkill. It didn't seem like too much. It was actually fine.
Yeah, so as you were saying that, what the thought process went through my head was people give TNA a lot of flack for doing the lockdown pay-per-views. It's all the matches are cage matches, but at the end of the day, it's gimmicks match, isn't it? Whereas a 5-on-5 is still a gimmick match, isn't it? That's an interesting one. I've never thought of that before.
That just reminded, I saw a comment, and I'm really sorry to be. I saw a comment the other day, which was TNA was doing lockdown well before COVID.
Very good, yeah. That's not bad, is it?
I was Anyway, lockdown was another one. I mean, now you think if WWE did a pay-per-view and it had every single match was a steel cage match, you'd probably be like, really?
I don't want to see that at all.
And this is why I don't like the gimmick pay-per-views, like the the Hell in a Cell ones. I think it be from the expectation of how important and exciting that match stipulation is.
I don't know when Hell in a Cell is. Is it? Let's say for argument's sake, it's in October. So as soon as the September pay-per-view comes around, has been and gone. Sorry, that whatever the first promo is on the championship match promo on Raw the next night is you and me Hell in a Cell. Like, is it? Oh, I didn't see that one coming. Because that Hell in a Cell is the next pay-per-view.
But you just saying that, look back to 2000, and what you just said when Foley came out and said that with Triple H.
Love that promo, one of my favourites.
Yeah, and that was like, oh, okay, that's exciting.
Because there hadn't been a Hell in a Cell at that point
the same
since the last Hell in a Cell before that was at WrestleMania 15, wasn't it? Undertaker and the Big Boss Man was the one before that. I don't think there'd been one since. So it mattered, and it's a feud ender, and it matters.
That was in February, and you think you go all the way forward to December of that year, and you get the 6-man, and they still managed to make it exciting. It was just like, I got to see that. Now, if they were to do that, it's just like, well, why are you having a Hell in a Cell at a different pay-per-view to the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? It's just overkill. And it's kind of, I think that what they've done is they've not necessarily run out of ideas for matches. I mean, if they'd done that, they would have hired Russo back. But what they've done is they've got to him. But what they've done is they've overkilled the gimmick to the point where people now have this expectation of, oh yeah, I know exactly who's going to have matches or 2 elimination chamber matches.
Exactly.
TLC. You don't just have a TLC match. You have a chairs match. You have a ladder match, and you have a table match as well. And it's just like, why? Keep the original gimmick. Don't plan a pay-per-view around it. Just keep the what's the word I'm looking for? What's it called when something's on the spot? The
spur of the moment.
Yeah, the spur of the moment booking of it.
So can I flip it round then? Since we're talking about gimmicks of best of worst. So we're talking about gimmicks that have been done to death or something. The one that I would say is a flip side of that is a match that I always used to buzz off. There are bad ones that I'm sure we can talk about if you like. But I always used to at least one of my favourite matches is the War Games match. And since they brought that match back in NXT, they've all been enjoyable. And even though you know it's coming because it happens once a year at Takeover War Games, I still think that's got the big match feel to it still.
I mean,
because you ask at the start, what are your favourite Gimmick matches? I think War Games is such a clever concept. I wish they kept it. The original thing that only can be won by submission. That's something that's one of those.
They have the roof.
Exactly.
You know. Yeah,
so
I
it's
missed
5
that.
on 5. Heels, you do a coin toss to see who goes first. Heels will always win it because it'd be fucking ridiculous if they didn't. And it's, like I say, it starts off 1-on-1, then goes to 2-on-1. So it's heel gets a beat down, then you get the babyface comeback, and then the heel beat down. It goes brutal, but it can only be won by submission. So you can beat the piss out of people. You can do whichever weapons you want. You can do all the finishes you want, but it can only be won by submission. That was such a cool little touch. Nowadays, can be won by pinfall or submission. It's also 2 rings, for fuck's sake. Magnificent. Yeah. Why does it need 2 rings? It doesn't, but it's great. Love War Games. War Games is great. Brilliant. I'm so pleased when they brought that one back.
War Games is great, but I mean, I still think of the fact that obviously they had to alter it a little bit, and like I do miss the roof, and like you said, you miss the submission stipulation of it. So it is a version of it. I still think it's great. It's a great thing to look forward to because with War Games you're getting something special. Yes. And it's always built up in a way that makes sense. And when NXT have done it, it's not just been like, oh, well, we're going to call this show War Games and have a War Games match because that's the name of the show. There's always been a reason for it. And they've incorporated the women into it as well, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of appeal to the War Games still. My favourite, along with you, is 1992.
My favourite is in.
That one just... always will be the best one in my opinion. Love it. But, War Games was a good one, and again, it wasn't overdone. Yeah. It stood the test of time because of its originality and because of its concept. Nice. It was fine as a stipulation.
Like I said, there's some poor ones. The 96, 97. Whichever one the Warrior was in, I was going with just fucking terrible. But I even like the TNA version, the Lethal Lockdown. That was a variation of War Games, wasn't it? That's a cool little giveaway.
I mean, TNA had some interesting match types in their time. Do you remember the King of the Mountain match?
I do. I remember the Reverse Battle Royal.
Yes. What was it? What was the one where you get like a briefcase, or you get fired if you pick?
Oh, Feast or Fire. So either had a title shot in it or had a contract termination. Yeah, interesting little gimmick. They did what was the one?
There's still an element.
What was the one with the big red cage? Was that a Thunderdome?
Oh,
they had in the first episode of the Monday Night Wars version 2, and you couldn't see fucking through it.
The crowd at the end of it just sat on top, and it's just like you just buried your X Division.
Yeah. That's the one.
I know the one you mean. I can't think of what it's called though.
I've just realised something. I was wrong because before you say it, I know what you're thinking, fans. I know you've already written in the comment. I think you'll find, Merc, that there was a Hell in a Cell between WrestleMania 15 and No Way Out 2000. Yeah, there was. See if Dan can remember it. There was one in between, and I know you fucking detest it.
Okay, if it's the one I'm thinking of, that doesn't count as a...
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
As soon as you said the cage at the start, I was thinking, like...
The kennel from hell. The kennel from hell fucking counts. Because I know that people are going, I think you'll find there was a Hell in a Cell. They used the cell.
It doesn't count. It's not. Go from the start. Tell me why you didn't like that match.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's got a memorable build-up. I'll give you that one. But it's just so stupid. A cage match inside the Hell in a Cell match with real dogs on the outside who just want to hump and shit instead of being fierce. They're just cute little dogs. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's the Attitude Era at its best and its worst all at once, isn't it? But it's memorable. I remember it. I couldn't tell you what happened on the latest fucking pay-per-view on Elimination Chamber. We're recording this on the 3rd of March 2021. Couldn't tell you what happened on the latest show. I remember the fucking Kennel Mel match, though, don't I?
Yeah, well, it's not, yeah, isn't it? I mean, we've never watched that show together. I believe it was it Unforgiven 99?
There's very few 99 WWF shows that we watch together now. We've watched a lot of, probably watched all of the WCW ones, but very few of the WWF ones. Weird.
But this one in particular is just, if you've never seen it, you know.
Yeah. Go and watch it if you haven't, just to say you have. Right, let me ask you about one, because while we're talking about bad matches, let me ask you about the worst match that we've ever watched together was a particular type of match. And
the scaffold.
And that's, so I was going to say, the one that really is... So before I mentioned about my favourite one is a cage match, because it's the danger and the violence and the way these two men can't stand each other, so they have to be put in a cage. It's still... you've got the levels of violence, but it's still within the confines of not being daft. I think a scaffold match where the whole point is to throw your opponent off a scaffold is just too much, and there isn't any good ones, and because you're so high. Go on, you're not going to tell me there is a good one, are you?
TNA did a concept of that called Elevation X.
Yeah, is that a scaffold? Yeah. So
you kind of have to knock your guy off, and you know.
Yeah.
It's just because otherwise I forget it, so I had to say it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying good. You know, it was a variation of it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I seem to remember liking a few of those, to be honest. But yeah, I felt like I needed to throw it. If you want worst gimmicks, I think the scaffold match has got to be up there, and maybe I'm biased towards that because, and I'll put a link to it below. The worst match I've ever seen is off the worst show I've ever seen, which is of course the Great American Bash 1991, isn't it? Please tell me I've just said that right.
Yeah, I'm gonna just do it on my back here. It's kind of my fault that you had to see that, because you put out you sent me a message saying what would you like to do? What should I do for my Christmas special one year? And you hadn't seen this show, and I thought, well, he's got to view that. Like, so if you've never seen that review, go watch it. It's great.
19th of December 2014, Mark Pearson's Christmas review, The Great American Bash 1991. In the opening contest, I gave it -7 stars. In that match has Steve Austin in it. Think about that. Think how bad it must be if it's got the future Stone Cold in it. And I gave it -7 stars, which is the lowest rating I ever gave on a match, and that was even lower than the which one is it?
Heroes of Wrestling.
Well, anything off Heroes of Wrestling. The one I was going to say was the King of the Ring one, the Patterson and Briscoe one.
-5.
I think so.
I was just going to say, what a great segue. I mean, even in a time when WWE was booming.
For fuck's sake, come on.
Even in a time when WWE was booming in 2000, which is your favourite year, I believe,
it is, yes.
for WWE pay-per-views.
What's just happened?
So,
then?
well...
What happened then? You vanished for a second then, boss.
Did I? Yeah. Oh, sorry. No. In 2000, there was no need for that. I mean, they came up with this, what was it, the evening gown thing. Yeah, so things like that. It's just like, is it really necessary? Like, why would you...
Yeah, you've got to think that Vince did it just as a rib on Patterson and Briscoe. Because they're yes men, yes, Mr. McMahon, and all that jazz. They'll do as the bloody told. Go and do this. Like, I mean, Patterson probably loved it, didn't he? And Briscoe was like, yeah, I don't care. Just pay me. I don't give a shit. Tell me why the 3 stages of hell isn't seen more often. Because you love that match. No Way Out 2001, for example, the Austin Triple H match. You love that match, don't you? Absolutely love it.
My absolute favourite.
Exactly. So you don't. It's a memorable. Then you've got 3. You can do 3 stipulation matches, and this is why I wanted to ask, because you're essentially doing 3 stipulation matches in one go, 3 gimmick matches if you like. Never been done. We could have done one of those. Me and you could have done it instead of the bloody I Quit bullshit that we did. Why didn't we do a 3 stages of hell match? Yeah. Why don't you just why don't you see them anymore?
There was one that I believe was in. Oh God, this is testing my knowledge now. Like 2009, 2010. I think it was between like Ryback and Cena or CM Punk or someone, and they did like a 3 stages of hell thing,
What?
and it sucked. It was really, it was really bad. And someone's writing in the comments now, oh, it happened on this day.
I think you'll find, Dan, that it was this show and this match.
And it sucked. And the thing is, like, I can't think of. I remember when it came out with Austin and Triple H in 2001, and it was just great. It was like perfect way to end their feud because they have like, there's no feuds these days, and you know I'll get heat for this, but there's no feuds these days that require that level of technicality or violence to get people's attention.
I would say there are feuds. It's just that they never fucking end. It's one of the big problems in wrestling these days. They have feuds that last for months and months and months and months. You see the same match 30 times. You're like, why should I care about these two facing each other again?
There's no deserving feuds of a match that would justify that stipulation.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, that's the better way to say it. For example, in 2001, Austin versus Triple H makes sense if it's a 3 stages of hell match, or just a cage match, or a street fight, etc. I wouldn't want to see, and just being me, I wouldn't want to see Okada versus Omega in a 3 stages of hell match. I want to see all of their matches as Okada versus Omega one-on-one. Yeah. Because it's about the wrestling and stuff. It's not that I want to see these guys literally beat the piss out of each other. That's not what attracts me to those two people wrestling each other, if that makes sense. With Austin and Triple H, I want to see them beat the piss out of each other. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like that. I think it has to depend on who's in it, what the storyline is between it. For example, with Omega, it was more like, okay, let's have a blow-off. That's what it was.
Sorry,
with Austin and Triple H, it was like...
You cut out right in the middle of the important bit there.
What?
Just at that last point you were saying, your audio cut off. So I'm just like, I'm listening.
Oh.
It doesn't matter, just keep going.
I was saying, like, so with Omega and Okada, it was like, you've won one, drawn one, I've won one, let's have a fourth one, right? Makes sense, it's fine, it doesn't need anything else. Austin and Triple H, I dropped you from a car, I ran you over, I beat up I gave your wife a stunner, and, I pedigreed your best friend, you've got to have that kind of blood feud that goes into having the stipulation matches. Stipulation matches work best when there is a storyline behind them.
It's interesting. I was
reflecting on my previous point, I don't think trying to hold in your, like you said, a 2 out of 3 falls match, 3 stages of hell match, anything like that.
Do you think it's... no, not do you think. I always think it's interesting that Triple H won that when Austin, the babyface, was going into WrestleMania for his match against either Angle or Rock, as it would have been. I always think, like, hang on, so that means that Triple H won, Triple H won the feud. Like, hang on, how does that work?
Yeah, he didn't need to win it. No. The funny thing was, then they went and were a tag team, and that's just what storylines are.
How do you feel? Oh no, do you feel? I'm going to have a fun one editing this one because it's going to be like bip bip bip. No, try again. Do you think we will ever see a First Blood match again in the WWE? Because they were,
I remember,
quite fully loaded 99, the one I seem to mention all the fucking time at the moment. Someone's gonna bleed. Someone's gonna leave. Once again, wrestling was way more memorable back in the day. I think in today's PG era, I don't think we'll see one, but then as of the time of recording, we've got an exploding barbed wire death match coming up, haven't we, in AEW? Which will have happened by the time this is aired, by the way. So you never know.
I was going to get to that one, yeah.
Of course.
What I was going to say was, in regards to the First Blood, didn't they have, was it JBL and Cena? And this was
yes,
back in,
that was 2004, yeah.
And I don't remember what the...
You can't remember what, sorry?
I don't remember what the finish was of the First Blood match. They had an I Quit match, which was bloody and everything. I remember that. But then they had a First Blood match. I think it was in 2008.
I might be getting confused now between the two, because I was going to say, I remember there being loads of blood, but it might have been the I Quit match now you mention it.
The I Quit one. Yeah. I don't remember the finish, but because at that time they were kind of toning down, I think, on blood and stuff. But you think of, First Blood matches, I think, Kane versus Austin, King of the Ring, and then Austin versus Taker. But first one, I don't know if you'll see one. If you do see one again, it's going to have to be one of, like, oh, he scratched his arm on the ring steps, he's bleeding.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
But I think they tamed down a lot of stuff. I don't know if they put they changed the color of the Hell in a Cell and stuff. I don't know why they do that. I don't like it when they change gimmicks either.
Okay.
Because it's like it's like little things like nitpicking here, but they changed the pods in the chamber. They made them like square. They never used to be square. Just little things like that where they're just not tweaking so much, but they're just changing it to keep it new, keep it fresh, and it's just like, no, it worked fine. It's a wrestling stipulation. Get on with it. I feel like you were going to say something then.
No,
you chose not to.
No. There's so many. I'm at the point of. I'm at the point of.
I made a list.
Did you really?
I made a list because I wanted to ask you about a few.
Okay, then.
Just to see one, if you remember them, and two, what you thought of them.
Well,
okay,
let's do that then. I was just thinking, which matches have we not talked about? So that is a perfect way to transition into that. You have a list of gimmick matches or stipulation matches that you want me to talk about. Fun, bloody tastic. Let's do it. This is gonna be great.
Okay, so one of the ones obviously we went through the Kevin. What did you think of the Inferno?
I think it's. I think 16-year-old Mark was like, "Oh my god, this is going to be the greatest thing of all time," and then I thought the match was decidedly average. It's all right. It's well remembered. It's an interesting concept. Don't get me wrong. You got to set your opponent on fire, and fucking hell, it's a cool visual. It's cool as fuck, but yeah, massively overrated match. It's one of those matches that I think it lives in people's nostalgia, the nostalgic part of people's brains. Like, oh, I remember wrestling. Oh yeah, I remember the match where you had to set the guy on fire. Fucking hell, that was so cool. And then you go back watching. No, it's not. It's all right, but it's not. No. And the fact it took them so long to do another one, it speaks volumes about it, in my opinion.
I mean, just talking about and yeah, I agree. But you look at the modern stuff and how we're talking about, if matches are worthy of certain things. There's a match you and I recently watched, which happened last year.
Okay.
Which was a swamp fight.
Yes, that was Bray and Braun, yeah?
Yeah. On the same show, there was an eye for an eye match, if you remember that.
Yeah, just about, yeah. Orton and Mysterio.
Yeah, and Orton or Rollins, one of the two, but you kind of think to yourself, why?
That sounded so right, as I said. It was like, no, you mentioned it. Yeah, I think it was Seth Rollins.
But you said the concept of the match is like, yes, you have to dislocate your opponent's eye.
No, you have to remove your opponent's eye. It's not just take the eye out. In this modern world,
who's interested?
I think the only appeal that it has to someone like us is where they're like, okay, so how are they going to bullshit their way out of this? He clearly didn't lose his eye.
Yeah.
So, next.
Couple of your favourites. Last Man Standing.
I do like a good Last Man Standing match. You can put as much brutal. It's one of those matches, and the reason that I like it, it's one of the reasons why. Is because it's one of those matches where you can be really brutal and you can use the brutality and the escalating brutality to tell a story. You've got a 10 count to get up, so build the tension, build the story by after the first big hit you get up at 3, and then you do another big hit and you get up at 4, and you do another big hit and you get up at 6, and just to really throw the fans up what they're expecting is you get up at 5. That's storytelling. So you've still got the storytelling element that I absolutely buzz off and always will. But you can be really, really brutal. It's a good way to end a feud. It's a the go-to one for me is always Fully Loaded 2000, which, as everyone knows, is one of my favorite shows. It's our go-to show, Dan and I. And yeah, Jericho versus Triple H is the absolute standard. This is how you do a Last Man Standing match. Because at the end of the day, Triple H wins, but only by the skin of his teeth. And you go into that match expecting him to absolutely destroy Jericho, and he does. But Jericho sure as hell gives as good as he gets, And yeah, I like a Last Man Standing match. I really do. I would hate to see a pay-per-view of them, though. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I was going for. And the other one, which I know that I like, before I start getting into the comical gimmick matches, and we'll go into Japan and stuff like that, I quit.
Well, the one that, of course, the one is the Rock and Mankind match, Rumble 99, which, you know...
Champagne and Dan.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that goes without saying to the majority of our audience watching this now will obviously say Champagne versus Danny Ace at UEW Retribution, of course, because, you know, I mean, that goes without... It just goes without saying, doesn't it? It's one of those ones. It's when it's done well. It's brutal, and it's the again. I like it because of the storytelling aspect of it. You know, it's like, if you don't do this, if you don't quit, I'm gonna do this to you. And when that person doesn't, it's the right. Okay, what do we need to do next to really decide to quit? And then it's like, when that doesn't work, it's like it's how deep and how dark will you go inside yourself to get that victory? How much does this victory mean to you? You know, and that I love, absolutely love it. Yeah, a really great stipulation. I can't remember the last time I saw one, to be honest. But I'm struggling to think of one outside of the Rock versus Mankind, if I'm honest.
That was the bar setter, wasn't it? That was the best one. Just because of how brutal it was, and if you ever watch Beyond the Mat, you kind of can't look at it the same way again.
Didn't Cena and Batista have one, or Cena and Orton had one? I think the last one standing matches where I'm thinking, oh no, I've got images racing through my thoughts now of people being handcuffed or taped to ring posts, things like that.
Yes, I think Cena and Orton had one, and he was beating him with a...
I'm sure people will tell us down below. Yeah, I'm sure people will tell us.
Yeah, that's where the whole "I did not quit" thing and "never give up, never quit" thing came from. But,
makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
So here's just a couple for you, and I don't know if you've ever seen any of these, but I'm very interested to know if you have. Did you know at one time in Japan they had a crocodile death match?
I'm intrigued. Please tell me how a crocodile death match works.
Okay, so a crocodile death match, I've got this one from Wikipedia, is a standard death match with the added stipulation that the loser must wrestle a crocodile at the end of the match.
Fuck it, why not? That's madness in all the ways, isn't it?
Why not?
What if the crocodile's like, dude, fuck off. Just fuck off. Why not? That's mad. That's absolutely insanity. But at the same time, nothing that would come out of Japan would surprise me. What do you think of...
Well, one that I did...
Go on, you first.
I was just going to say, I remember reading Mick Foley's first book, Have a Nice Day.
One, yeah.
And he was... Obviously, yeah. And he's talking about, wrestling Terry Funk in Japan. He talks about the exploding, C4 mine matches and things like that. If you're a fan of hardcore wrestling, which if Extreme Dave is watching this, he's going, me. If you're a fan of hardcore wrestling, obviously that stuff is appealing. But where do you draw the line between... Okay, how do they do that, and why are they doing that? Would you show that to someone who's not a wrestling, try and get them to understand why these people are doing it?
I don't know. It always surprises people who have watched me for a long time, or who knew that I was Champagne, who was a very, very average wrestler at best, who resorted to as much garbage wrestling as I did. The garbage wrestling doesn't do anything for me at all. It's one of the reasons why I think ECW is so massively overrated. And I swear, one of these is going to be me versus you and Extreme Dave. Gone, sell ECW to me. I was like, bollocks, and YouTube will be like, ECW was the greatest thing in the history of the world. I went, bollocks, overrated. I don't anything like exploding bombs and things like that. The thing with an exploding anything match, in my opinion, the psychology of it is to try and avoid getting blown up. So you can tell a story in it, If you can put some psychology into it, great, brilliant. But I think a lot of the matches like that I've seen, and there's not many of them I've seen, but a lot of them are just, hey, let's do big explosions because on the last show we had a explosion. So on this one, because we're running out of ideas, let's have 3 explosions, and without them, it gets a few buys. So okay, we'll have 15 explosions, and it's one of those, it's just. I'd much rather watch a wrestling match than watch someone getting blown up. It's one of those, I'd watch it once out of curiosity, but I don't want to see lots of them at all. What do you think? Or I mean, you're much more of the extreme hardcore fan than I am. Hence, what I was saying a moment ago, how much you love DCW. Where do you fall on this one?
Things I like ECW for a couple of different reasons, and for some reason the matches that spring to mind when I think of ECW are like Guerrero, Malenko, and Psychosis, Mysterio, and that. When I think about the hardcore matches, the ones that I enjoyed were like the Terry Funk and Catch Jack, Sandman, and those kind of things. It wasn't just the point of having hardcore because they're a hardcore promotion.
Yes. Ooh.
As a wrestling fan, I mean, me, I love Japanese wrestling from the 90s specifically. And, they had, FMW and stuff were doing all this crazy stuff. I remember one time there was a match, which actually, I think Mike Awesome was in. They had a match in a ring in the middle of a pool, like water, and you get thrown out and it blows up. And it's like, okay, well, why are they doing that? And what... I kind of understand the appeal. People like watching that kind of stuff because people enjoy watching people get hurt.
Yes.
Or, the violent aspect of it.
Is it a watch?
But it's the same
is it people watching it going, do you know, this guy might actually die off this, and I want to see that?
Yeah.
Is it someone actually wants to see someone get killed in the ring, so they're tuning in to see that?
Yeah. I mean, you look at XPW, I think it was, and they did that thing with New Jack and Vic Grimes, where they had the scaffold thing, funny enough, and they didn't have like a normal scaffold, not like a Jim Cornette scaffold. They had like this huge thing. It's all over YouTube. Go watch it, and there's like 100 tables.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, well,
and he misses most of them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Viewers, if you're wondering why I'm laughing, I've just thought of something which I've got to tell you now because I will forget. Is that we've just been talking about fucking cage matches and didn't mention the electrified cage match between LAX and Team 3D. Fucking hell, that's an abomination, that is. It's just that moment, like, my brain went, dude, what about the electrified cage? That's why I started giggling. Just if you wind it back a couple of minutes, you'll see I just started giggling then while Dan's doing this really important point. Please continue about what you were saying about barbed wire matches. It's just about bombs and stuff. It just that just caught into my head.
It's TNA creation, right?
Yeah.
There was the electrified cage, but that also you could go back to WCW in like, was it 89, 90 when they had the what was the one Abdullah was in where they sat him in the chair?
Do you know, that's on my fucking thought with a while back when you were thinking. I was thinking the fucking Chamber of Horror matches. Yeah, the Chamber of Horror match from '91. That's we've got to come to that at some point. Yeah, that's the Abdullah the Butcher one. That's one of my favourite matches of all time, just for how fucking stupid it is.
But for the reason of the switch, right?
It's the switch, yeah. You know me too well. It's the switch.
The switch falls down.
There'll be a thing. I'll probably be able to show any footage of it. There'll be a screenshot of it where Cactus Jack climbs up the cage to pull the switch, and it's already in the down position, which means that his mate Abdul's already getting electrocuted. Fucking fantastic! Oh, it's fantastic. It's Halloween Havoc '91, I think it is. It's either '91 or '92. I'm sure you'll tell me now.
On WCW, I mean, I know we touched base with it earlier with the flag, scaffold, abomination, whatever you want to call it. They had some interesting stipulation, throughout their history. And another one that comes to mind is, was it the spin the wheel, make the deal?
Yes, it was.
The coal miner's glove.
Coal miner's glove match, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourite promos. That is.
And then
I've said it a couple of times.
What
yeah, you think I'm afraid of you? Think I'm afraid of some wheel? Fucking immense. Love it. Fucking Sting and Jake the Snake.
But the one, yeah. But you fast forward to, let's say, 99, 2000.
World War III match.
Triple Cage.
World War III match.
The World War III.
What a fucking
What did you think of that? Because you mentioned
stupid idea that is.
Things.
3 rings, 60 men. half of which you start going, oh, at least 20 of them going, who the fuck are you? Impossible to follow, because the camera's trying to follow 3 different rings at once. If I remember rightly, they had 3 different sets of commentators for one per ring. What a fucking clusterfuck that was.
Was it WCW's just rip off of the Rumble and we're like, yeah, we're just going to do it?
It's just almost like, yeah, you want to do a 30-man match? Well, we're going to have a 60-man match with 3 rings? Fuck off. And there's the fucking intro right there, isn't it? That's the intro right there. That's the intro.
yeah, that's
Triple
it.
Cage. Is it Slamboree, baby?
There was also one on Nitro, if you remember, where I think with Russo he got speared out of it.
Was that triple cage, or was that just a standard cage?
I think there was one on...
Shit.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but... the Slamboree one was a bit of a disaster. But it's, again, going back to WCW in that time, let's talk about the on-a-pole matches.
Oh my god, from 2000. Judy Bagwell on a fucking pole, for example. Because that's one thing, I'm undecided about this. I'm undecided about buying the WCW pay-per-view this Sunday. What's on the card? Judy Bagwell on a pole. Where's my wallet? I've got to order that pay-per-view right now. Judy Bagwell on a pole. Didn't they do Shane Douglas and Billy Kidman? Viagra on a pole match is another one that comes to mind because I really desperately need a hobby. One of Russo's favourites, isn't it? They're on the pole. I'm struggling to think of any that aren't flag matches in the Fed. The only ones I can think of, we mentioned before, Bret Hart and Patriot. They had a flag match. That's a pole match, isn't it?
Yeah. But they had to be honest, I enjoyed, there was one on Raw. It was like Taker, Austin, and I think it was Dude Love versus the Hart Foundation in a flag match. That one was not bad, from what I remember. But, flag matches, there are worse stipulations than flag matches. Flag matches is just one of those, all right, just do it for whatever reason. But just thinking WCW, do you remember what was it called? It's one I wrote down as well because I really wanted to get your opinion on it, and it made me laugh.
Edit this.
It's got the I think it had Dustin Rhodes in it, and it was a
King of the Road match.
Oh, let's see, what was it?
King of the Road. It's got to be.
Yeah, that's it.
On the back of the truck.
Yeah.
King of the Road. Uncensored 95. So it's Dustin Rhodes, like you say, and it's the guy who played Repo, Blacktop Bully, his name was. And they have been told specifically. So the whole point of the match, if you don't know, is they start at the back of a truck and they've got to ring a bell that's at the front of the truck. That's the whole point of the match, okay? And they would be. I thought I would just spit your mushroom drink out there. And they were specifically told not to blade. So both men bladed, and so both of them got fired, as well as the agent, who I can't remember that bit, but the agent who told them that they could blade. Got fired as well. All 3 of them got fired. It's fucking awful. Jay Hunter of OSW fame absolutely loves it because of how bad it is, but it's not a good match at all. The
Hog Pen match.
Who thought the Hog Pen match? So
the Hog Pen.
So that was the only one I can remember is one of the Godwins. I'll get the wrong one, so we'll go for it. And Triple H. And Triple H got
that was his punishment.
Triple H got a massive cut on his back and then got thrown into the mud, which must have sucked. Yeah. Imagine that.
But wasn't that punishment for the curtain call?
I think so, yeah.
Or am I years out? I don't know.
No, it's part of it, yeah. It's Vince said you will eat shit and you will enjoy the taste, to the point where you enjoy the taste of it. So look at this. I've overheated my vape pen in that time. How fucking shit is that? Yeah, not a classic. Not a classic at all. It's anything like that's a mud match, a slot match, anything like that. I mean, remember how didn't Miss Kitty win the WWF Women's Championship in one of those, for example? In a mud match, a 4-way mud match, something like that. Bullshit. Fucking terrible.
Here's one you'll like talking about.
Go on.
The Iron Man match.
The Iron Man match. When you say the one, you mean the WrestleMania 12 one? Because that's the only one you can do.
This is where
because
said earlier, yeah. So no. I mean the Iron Man as a stipulation.
Oh, okay. Because I'm going to say, if you want me to talk about the WrestleMania 12 one, we're going to just need a separate video on that one, aren't we? Because
Mark does not enjoy the WrestleMania 12 Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
If you want me to know, if you ever look on my channel, go onto the playlists, right, and find one that says WrestleMania reviews, and WrestleMania 12 isn't there because I refuse to fucking watch that bollocks match. think about that. Think about how much of a statement that is for yours truly. Because think about how many bollocks matches I've watched to review for you guys. Yeah, I just refuse it. It's one of those ones. I know my old colleague Bobby Cash fucking loved it. He loves it. Thinks it's great. I think a lot of people who work in the industry think it's one of the best matches ever. I don't agree. But that's for another vid, because like I said, I could talk about that for a long time. Iron Man matches are, well, as someone who's done one, are really hard because they're so fucking long, and it's an obvious statement. But I think the best one is always going to be the Rock Triple H one, in my opinion. I think as long as you tell again, gosh, I'm coming back to this one, guys. I used to get shit out for it back in the day when I used to do reviews, so sure I'm going to get heat for it here. It's as long as you can tell a story in it. The one reason why I love The Rock versus Triple H so much is because it's clever. You know, Triple H hits a pedigree, gets a fall off it, and then puts a sleeper on him, on Rock, because he's so out of it, gets another fall off it. That's really fucking great, because it adds an element of realism to it. That is what you would do. If it was a real contest, what's what you do? You take any advantage you can. So if he's out of it, just get another fall, get 10 falls. It's like why, if you do an Iron Man match, if I'm the heel and you're the face, which is our usual dynamic here, if I'm going to hit you with a chair the moment the bell goes, and because you'll go a fall up because of the disqualification, but you've also been hit by a chair, so you're probably unconscious, and I will cover you 6 times because I can get a couple of fucking falls off it. That's psychology. You can add, if you can, in any of these stipulations that we've talked about, if you can put a story into it, I'm going to be happy. And that is a classic one. An Iron Man match, you really can put a story in. Go on.
I agree with you completely.
Great.
And just on that
Twice
note,
tonight.
I don't agree with the 12 thing, but again, that's for another. But
Do you not? Oh, we could actually have an episode about that then.
My favourite Iron Man match, obviously, is Rock Triple H, closely followed by
Brock
Lesnar Angle. Yeah, I thought that was great for a TV match as well.
It's more special because it was on an episode of SmackDown, wasn't it?
Definitely, but I also enjoyed the ultimate submission matches and stuff like that. They used the Iron Man concept of having this many falls in this space of time, and I thought that was really well done. The one that I wanted to ask you about, and this is what was sort of jumped into my head when you mentioned about storytelling, and sometimes how maybe the tongue-in-cheek gimmick can work. Talk to me about the Duchess of Queensberry rules match.
So for context, folks, this is Backlash 2001, and it's William Regal versus Chris Jericho. Okay, one of those ones where, because you've got this, you can tell a story with it, because you get a win by submission, for example. This match can't be won by submission, and the match must continue. I think that's a really good way of getting heat. So I think it's stupid. I think it's daft. I mean, Queensberry rules is in boxing, for goodness sake. But the thing is that the wrestling lives in this fucking bubble where the Duchess of Queensberry, not just the Duchess of Queensberry, all British people dress like she did, obviously, and have a castle and have a butler called Jeeves and drink tea at 4 o'clock. That's just how we all are. If that's how we're perceived to Americans, fucking hell, it's ridiculous. But yeah, once again, it's memorable, though, isn't it? It came straight off the top of my head. I told you the show was on, and I told you, when it wasn't, all that jazz. So it did its job, didn't it? It's memorable, but at the same time, it's from 2001. So, what do you think of that one? Well, you must have an opinion on it because you asked me about it.
I mean, again, the reason why I thought of that was because of the you were talking about Iron Man, and I thought about the submission match at Backlash 2001 with Dan and Angle, which was great, and that one just popped into my head. I liked it purely just for comical value. I mean, the thing is, it's watchable not because it's bad, but because it's funny. And if it's funny bad, you will be entertained by it.
I gave that match 4 stars, by the way, if you're wondering.
What, the ultimate submission? Yeah. What did you think of the ultimate?
You cut out there, right in the middle of it. Try again.
I can't even remember what I was going to say now.
Ultimate X Match. So the thing about
what did you think of it?
So I can just splice it in. So Ultimate X Match. One of the things about the Ultimate X Match is that it's a concept that TNA came up with. They can say, yeah, that's ours. We came up with that one. That's a truly individual match. But then, I just think they did too many of them. So they will put one on Impact just for having a match. Just say, do you know? I've got because I thought you were going to mention it. There's been 43 of the damn things.
What, Ultimate X matches?
Yeah.
Name 3 of them.
It's one of those. There's just been too many, in my opinion. And so,
I mean, this again goes back to what we were talking about earlier about gimmick overkill.
Yes.
And you base things around matches, and you have too many of them. It kind of takes away from the trueness of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened with the matches that we like and which fans in general really excited about. Things like Hell in a Cell, things like Elimination Chamber, matches like that. Even Last Man Standing matches. Everything about them, there's exciting element to it. 3 Stages of Hell, as you mentioned.
I think the Ultimate X is an enjoyable match. The ones I've seen to remember, they were always exciting, and they're an interesting one.
Yeah.
But I said, my big thing is that there was so many of the damn things.
Yeah, and now you can say the same thing about Hell in a Cell. When was the last time you were excited for a Hell match?
Oh, years.
Yeah. Which leads me to the point I wanted to kind of close with,
nice.
Which is like,
segue,
what
dude.
is...
Frozen.
You pointed and said something.
I said, good segue, dude, which is now ruined.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because it froze.
Right, okay, yeah. So I wanted to ask, just to sort of round this off, because there's loads of gimmick matches that
there's
haven't
hundreds we haven't talked about.
Yeah, go on Wikipedia and just type in wrestling gimmick matches. You'll read about the alligator match. And
San Francisco
49ers
match, for example.
I've got that. Damn it! I've got that on my screen right here. On an episode of Nitro, Booker T faced Jeff Jarrett in a 49ers match. Not reference to a first football team, but the inspiration for said football team, the gold-rushing folks in California. Offensive anyway. Wooden crates are hung around the ring. One of them contains the championship belt. The others contain random items like a framed picture of Scott Hall.
Who hadn't been seen in the company for like a year.
Brilliant idea.
I love it.
Brilliant idea. What is your favourite type of matches in the stipulation, and what is your favourite gimmick match that has happened?
Oh, Jesus, man.
Start with type. What's your favourite stipulation?
Probably ladder match or cage match. It's hard between the two. I do like the danger element. I like the fact that you can, for example, it doesn't have to just be a championship match. Having the championship hanging there is all good and well, but adopt it a little bit, and you've got the Money in the Bank briefcase, for example. There's been quite a few good Money in the Bank matches. I like the fact that you can just do a singles match, you can do a tag match, you can do 8-man like I just said about a Royal Rumble match. Not a Royal Rumble match, Money in the Bank match. I don't know why I said Royal Rumble, they're very, very different things, aren't they? But then again, as the first thing I said at the start of this video when you asked was, I love how back in the day at least, a cage match really did symbolise that, alright, someone's going to get messed up in this one. Our favourite match, the I Quit match, is in a cage, isn't it? The Tully and Magnum, for example. That once this match ends, there's nothing else. That's it. And it's a cage, so no one can interfere, and they can do burn. You're going to see all the blood, and I just think for all of the reasons that listed there and more. And because you put a roof on it and it's Hell in a Cell, put it in 2 rings and it's War Games, put pods around it and it becomes an elimination chamber, put an electric chair in it and it's a doomsday cage match. Wire up to the mains and it's an electrified cage. You can do so many variations of it. Tell you something, I would have loved to have done one in the EBW. If you remember EBW Addiction, when it was Google Boy versus Alex Hart and they went cruising around the park, they climbed on top of some fence panels, and we're just looking back going, if we could have done a cage match, there was the fucking way to do it. I think my favourite gimmick type is a cage match. Does it have to? So my favourite match, does it have to be a particular? Does it have to be a cage match as well?
No, I mean of that gimmick. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's got to be Hell in a Cell, first one. It's Shawn Michaels, it's Undertaker. They've been feuding since SummerSlam. It's not the end of the feud because of course they have a match at the Royal Rumble, but it's Shawn Michaels showing that even when he was an arsehole like he was in 1997, he can be the best. And it's got my favourite ever blade job in it. It's got the debut of Kane in it. So of course Michaels wins is one of those amazing things. And yeah, I love the build-up. I love the fact it utterly steals the show. I love the fact that to this day, 25 years later, it's still watchable. It's still this is great. Yeah,
that's my documentary.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so very much. It's brilliant, and it's straight 5 stars. How about yourself?
Yep. I love the Rumble. I really love the Royal Rumble format. I think it's great, and with the just not necessarily just the over the top aspect of it, but the fact that you've got all these guys, fighting for, you get confrontations and matches in there that you don't expect to see, normally happen. They always do something with it. Rumble is still something I look forward to now.
It's funny I didn't even think about
however,
it,
in terms of actual, what?
Is it bad that when you just asked me that question, I didn't think of a Rumble at all?
You did. You said it, and then you went back on it.
No, I just it wasn't my.
Did you say
my I just think I didn't consider it as a favourite of mine at all. Isn't that so strange?
No, you went to because you love the Kennel from Hell match. It's just the way it is. Like, that's just a variation of the cage. No, I love the Rumble, but in terms of person versus person for I love the Iron Man concept. I love Iron Man matches. I think they're great. Of 1 hour, they'll so much as you related to earlier with Rock and Triple H. It's so easy with the storytelling.
Oh yeah. And
so and you become emotionally invested in that over the course of the hour. I know there will be an episode down the line where we'll talk about WrestleMania 12, obviously, and what you don't like about it. But the Iron Man match really stands out. I think the Iron Quit match. Stipulations that don't necessarily have to have weapons involved, but still alter the standard 1 versus 1 match type. They're the ones that I like. You don't have to have explosions and all of this stuff going on to have gimmick in a match. So that would be what I'd say about that.
Nice.
Royal Rumble would be the first one though.
What's your favourite?
What's the worst one?
What's your
favourite Rumble?
Yeah.
Favourite Rumble 2001.
Yeah. Brilliant. Fantastic.
Followed closely by Night 2.
Yeah. And then you said, let me think, because you mentioned it on one of these episodes, I think you said 2008 is your third favourite. If I remember rightly. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are many gimmick matches that we haven't talked about, but we want to know what your favourite gimmick matches, your favourite stipulation match, and give us an example of that type of match. Tell us what your worst one is. Tell us ones that we haven't missed. Dude, why haven't you talked about... I can't believe you haven't talked about blah, blah, blah. Please tell us. Tell us right now. Tell us.
Ambulance match. Ambulance
match, yeah. That's a great one.
Ambulance match.
Yeah.
Scramble match.
Championship scramble match, yeah. That's a good one. I mentioned before, the reverse battle royal.
We spoke about the Duchess of Queensberry rules match. We got that in an episode. That's the important thing.
No, yeah, that's the. We can wrap up the series now. So, yeah, so this has been the season finale.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah, so we'd love to know, lady, what you think of this one. Bit longer this time because we just had so much to talk about. Is that good? Is that bad? Please let us know because we crave your feedback. Your feedback makes this what it is. If 20 people get in touch like, I think you need to make this one a bit shorter, Mark, then we will. I mean, it'll be difficult because we've always got so much to say, but that's what we need.
The other one I forgot to mention when you said I have to get that when you said about ECW, the Taipei Deathmatch.
So that's where they tape the fist and dip it in the thing and put the glue on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Madness. How the thing is, right? Wrestling is all about you want to make it look like you're hurting your opponent, but you're not actually hurting your opponent. If you've got fucking glass on your fist, how do you fake that? You can't touch them because you've got glass on your hands. It's madness. But yeah,
I think that's a good way to end it. Just say, how do you fake a gimmick match?
There you go. Yeah, if it's something like that, I mean, you must have a fucking death wish. And again, it's doing the hardcore stuff instead of actually having some fucking talent, which is why I don't like garbage wrestling. But that right there is an episode for another time, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Check out all the social media mentioned before. Thanks once again to Sam for doing our intro. Thanks to Craig for doing our intro music. Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, all down below. Go and check those out for us. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, share it if you like, because that'd be really great. Oh, Mark's doing vids again. Check this out. We really appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, that was going to do it for me, and it's going to be do it for Dan. And so I've been Mark, he's been Dan, and take it easy, and see you all, and thanks for watching, and all the jazz. We talked for 2 hours. My voice hurts. I'm going now. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have some bonus footage about anuses.
Oh,
This is the siege. It's a goddamn siege.
actually written here was in FMW in Japan in October of 1998. There was an anus explosion deathmatch.
Oh, what? Oh, what?
Yeah, and Hayabusa did it.
How do you win that?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, because I have it written here. An anus explosion deathmatch is where the only way to win is to stick a firecracker up one opponent's buttocks and light it. The firecracker goes off while inside an incapacitated wrestler's buttocks. The match ends. It happened in FMW. That is the sport that we love.